NZ Aerosports, Icarus Canopies, now Gyro. That's right, we've rebranded, and Gyro is our next generation. It honours our founder, as that's the name we knew him by, but Gyro also marks the start of a new chapter. And not to be biased, but it's going to be fucking epic. Long story short, we're more us than ever, so if you're new to the sport, or even a Sky God Ninja Turtle, welcome. I think our valiant leader Lucy, Gyro's daughter, says it best.
And we still got that fuck yeah attitude. Rebrand! Woo!
Rebrand woo indeed, Lucy. Anyway, head over to gyro.com for more info and get amongst you legends.
I was 19, broke, unemployed, and sold my girlfriend's canopy for drug money. So I thought I better sew her a new one. What a sentence, and what a story. This describes the humble yet outrageous beginnings of NZ Aerosports, the home of Icarus Canopies, in the words of our founder himself. From getting a paratrooper toy from his mom, watching parachutes at the DZ as a 6-year-old, jumping off the wharf with a parachute made from bed sheets, doing his first jump at 16, sewing his first canopy on a borrowed machine at 19, and starting to sell parachutes out of a garage in 1986, Paul Gyro Martin had an undying love for the sky. Our company started with one man with the wildest of spirits and a true blue sky dream, a renegade. In the time that Gyro created and ran the Icarus Canopies brand until he passed away in 2017, he pushed everything he had to its limits. We miss him, and we always will. Gyro is the next generation of NZ Aerosports. It honors our founder, of course, because it was the name we all knew him by, but Gyro the rebrand also marks the start of a new chapter, our next jump. Gyro is the space between sound and silence, art and science, chaos and calm. Gyro is a state of epic tranquility that transcends understanding. That moment, in the door, in free fall, mid-swoop, where nothing but the present exists. A perfect balance of euphoria and thrill. Gyro captures our passion for flying and our commitment to designing break-the-fucking-rules canopies that deliver pilots pure, wild flight. Hey gang, so I got a new book out. It's called The Upside of Fear, and it's exactly what you think it's about. It's about the good side of, well, getting scared. In it, we talk not only about the science and biology behind fear, but the psychology as well. And it's not just coming from me, it's coming from some of the best in the sport. Omar Alhijalan, Jeff Provenzano, Maxine Tate, and so many more have contributed their sometimes terrifying stories to the book to help you overcome your fear. So head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com. You're going to find the link to the book there, as well as the other books. It's available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook right now.
Coming straight from the cockpit, it's another episode of Lunatic Fringe with the fucking pilot.
Ready, set, go. Back in the can for another edition of the Lunatic Fringe podcast. And fuck you, man. It's been way too fucking long. I'm not even going to say it. You just fucking tell him.
Well, David Jr. Ludvik back in the can with the fucking pilot.
Man, this is the first time we've had to do this over Zoom.
It is, I think.
I think it is. Yeah, because the last time the last time we did this podcast, you were actually leaving Dubai, and I was starting to think about leaving Dubai, and I believe the general conversation was, "Oh my God, we're going to talk so much shit someday."
No, we did one after. We did do one with Zoom because you were in the studio that you got going there.
Really?
Yeah, we did a little bit of a catch up. We talked about a little of the stuff of Dubai, but we didn't really.
That's right.
Too much.
I think
too much shit.
I think we both decided we'll save unloading for the old folks home.
I think so. I think that's probably best. It would probably keep us from getting murdered in our
I
sleep
mean,
somewhere.
not to mention, if we were going to start talking shit, we literally have 28 years worth of it to talk. And if we open up that can of worms, all I can imagine is the shit other people would have to say about us.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
A little bit of that would be true.
Hey.
But then a lot of it would be like, they would be just enthralled with some of the stories, I'm sure.
I've actually talked to a few people, Dubai wise, and since we're here, we'll reintroduce you in a minute. But while I'm thinking about it, tell me if you catch yourself doing this. I'll find myself, especially now that I'm not actively in skydiving every day, and the wife's friends are the people that I'm around the most, who know nothing about skydiving. They don't jump. They don't have anything to do with it. And I find myself telling the stories of not average times from Dubai, but definitely not insane times from Dubai. And I'll be halfway through the story going, none of these people believe a fucking word I'm saying right now. Right?
100%. 100%. I actually just, I forgot who I was doing it with, but I was with one of the guys at work, and I was in the rigging law. Actually, I do. It was my coworker Chris, and we were in there. We were doing a bunch of rigging stuff because in between military courses, we'll do rigging and we'll help out, and we are just rebuilding some of the rucksacks and stuff like that. And we're in there. We started talking because he's a former operator. He was over in Iraq and Afghanistan. He did a couple of tours over there, and he's talking about war shit, and I'm talking about telling Dubai stories, and he just we're just kind of talking back and forth because obviously he was in that region, but a very different experience from what we had. And I think he had one stopover through Dubai just for like a day, traveling either to there or from there when he was doing contract work after he got out of the military. And I'm telling him story after story, and he's just like,
yeah,
jaw down on the ground. He's like, "You got to be kidding me!" He's like, "Oh, dude," he's like, "That's awesome," and this and that, and like, it was just insane because he's going one way and I'm going a completely different.
Sure. Well, and it's funny too because it's not necessarily just the Dubai stories, but any of the stories that come from. I mean, you and I were together there for what, 8 years, almost 9 years. But we also the shit that happened outside of that. I mean, I try and tell the story of the first time we went to Bali and our good mutual friend Nitka introduces us to a Bali famous local, or not local, but almost local guy by the name of Glenn,
pretty much,
who was the biggest fucking character I've ever met in my life. And again, it was all because of skydiving and specifically because we had ended up in Dubai.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Oh, man.
Yeah. It is insane.
So, for anybody that hasn't heard you before on the podcast, give us a quick reminder. Who are you? How'd you start in the sport? All that shit.
Who am I? Well, obviously my name is David Ludvik. I'm known affectionately, or not affectionately, as Junior.
As Junior, yep.
I started back in late 90s. Started skydiving with my dad.
Yep.
Never really thought that skydiving would be a full-time gig for me. But I lost my job after September 11th in the airlines, just as a last man into a department. So first man out kind of thing.
Yeah, me too, actually.
And I started skydiving full time. Lost my dad to the sport in 2003 at the World Free Fall Convention. Just past 20 years for that. I can't believe that. And then just ran from it from there. Decided to make skydiving my life. And it was one of those situations that I was either going to quit or I was going to go all in. And I decided to go all in.
Sure. Well, and I mean,
from there,
we were just talking pre-podcast with your mom, as a matter of fact, of just where we've ended up because we once decided to jump out of an airplane. Because you have a proper big boy job and everything, doing some what I would call legitimately important shit these days.
Now I do. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you're not just.
I mean, I did my time over in Dubai and did all the cool shit over there, but then when the Dubai time was done, I came back stateside, and now I work for a military contracting company and teach military free fall to U.S. and NATO ally countries.
The
It's
fucking
pretty cool.
man, the number of friends that I have that transitioned into military contract work that are absolute madmen.
Right?
But have very successfully transitioned into at least having a very respectable facade on top of the people I know.
Right?
Which I love. And I love the fact that I've had so many contractors on the show that it's an unspoken rule that don't worry, I'm not going to ask you shit that's going to get you in trouble at your job. We'll talk about that when you're
Perfect.
retired.
Right?
Which is,
Oh man,
it's crazy, right?
it's fun. It is crazy.
So you started working in the sport early. You also, how early in your career did you start competing?
I would say I started competing in my first competition was in 2003 or 2004. I think it was 2003 at the World Free Fall Convention was my first swoop comp, where it was just a freestyle, a couple rounds of freestyle.
Sure.
That was my first competition. And then 2005, 2006 is when I got into competing heavy. So 2006 was my year that I did all the FLCPA meets. This was God, who was running it back then? I think it was like Chris Hayes.
Was it Chris or was it
Or like I
Al?
was competing against. No, Al wasn't. Al started competing around the same time I did, a little bit after actually. It was Chris Hayes was running them, and
That would have been before it was called the FLCPA, though, right?
yeah, correct. Yeah, it was
PST.
it was a Florida Swoop League or whatever.
Was it the
Well, PST was Jim Slayton, and that's what I was doing the FLCPAs for to gain into be able to go and do the
PST
pro swoop tour stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean we did it. It was I think the second or third year of it. I mean we didn't get if you won I think you got your entry fee back. And like there were no medals, nothing like that. Like I've got a ton of swoop competitions that I took first or second in and don't have any medals to show for because they weren't doing them back then.
I mean, and I've talked to a bunch
So
of other competitors too. Obviously, the being a swoop competitor is something you do for the love of it because you'll never make back what you invest in
100%.
in that side of the sport. I mean, it's as thankless a sport as you can get. I think you guys are all nuts because it's so fucking dangerous. It's cool, don't get me wrong, but holy shit, man, you guys put so much in and basically get a thank you and a hug afterwards.
Yeah, I mean it was back then, but back then it was for the love of it. Like when I came up and when you came up, there was nobody
Nobody.
coaching for swooping. You learned by either getting it right or hitting the ground.
You just what? Yeah,
That's pretty much how
you just paid attention to the guys that didn't hit the ground.
exactly. So I mean, I was all essentially self-taught, same way that Jay Moletsky, Bobo, and all those greats were. I mean, we're self-taught. We didn't have coaches.
I mean, I was lucky enough to be around Cross Keys 0405 when the PST tour was in Wildwood, and all the guys would come and train at Cross Keys for like the week leading up to it. And of course, Heath Richardson was full time at Cross Keys, so seeing what was at the time the best of the best swooping on a regular basis was just something I saw always, I mean, from then on. And it was amazing to watch as an outsider, the progression of that part of the sport.
It was cool. I mean, it definitely made my time in Dubai a lot more fun. Cause I mean, obviously I was on the swoop team for Skydiver Dubai for a couple years, for 2 seasons.
So,
and that was a lot of fun.
That I want to talk about. Actually, I was trying to lead towards that. You guys were so fucking spoiled. Oh my God,
100%.
dude. I was like, I don't really get jealous or envious, But I remember through the grapevine finding out like just what you guys were getting as sponsored team members and flying business class all around the world and the fucking per diem that you guys were getting on top of. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
So when I got on the team, a lot of that stuff went away. Like I got a couple of business upgrades just because Billy and Pat were gold status or whatever it was on Emirates. So like flying with them, they would make the booking, and then if we happen to get an upgrade, awesome. Like I got, I think 2 upgrades the entire time that I was there. All the rest of the time we'd fly wherever we were flying. We'd fly coach. Like I flew coach, like economy from Dubai to Canada for the what is it, the World Cup back in like 2015. So there and back. So that the local teams, the locals there had a ridiculous per diem.
Yeah.
We didn't. We were the one team that didn't do that much. We didn't take as much. We tried to give back as much as we could. We were the one team that did that. And then the wingsuit team, when the wingsuit team came out, they would also do the same. Like we would do events, we would go do demos, we would do whatever we could to kind of give back a little bit from what we were taking, because we did have it great. Like we got in 2015 when I traveled the entire time with the team, we were gone the entire summer.
Yeah.
There were 3 months that, I mean, I was back. I'd be back for like a week or two, go to the drop zone, do some tandems, help out a little bit, or just train for the next comp, and then we were back off again. I think I saw my poor dog only saw me like 3 weeks that entire summer.
Lily.
I had somebody watching my house and watching my dog the entire time I was gone.
I mean, I remember the first leave I took from Dubai and flew home. That was back when Highness's office would book the HR office would book the tickets. And I remember checking in Dubai and getting an upgrade to business class and thinking, oh my God, this is incredible. This is never going to happen again. No way. This is just the most amazing thing. And business class from Dubai to Seattle is proper. You know, that's 14 hours of bliss. And for anybody that hasn't been lucky enough to fly business class like that, about 30 minutes after they've served you a meal with actual silverware and salt and pepper shakers and salads and all this shit, they come up and they say, Mr. Ricky, would you like us to make your bed? And the whole thing goes flat and they put a fucking mattress down and almost literally tuck you in. It's ridiculous. So I think that's never going to happen again. But I go to Seattle, I'm there for a couple of weeks, and I'm checking back in Seattle, and it's mobbed. Like there's just people everywhere. And I'm 2 hours early, but the line just to go talk to the agents at the counter is like miles back. And so I finally get up to the counter, and I'm like, I just want to see if I can get an aisle seat because I'm stuck in the middle. This is going to be horrible. And the agent gives me this look like, go fuck yourself. And he click, clack, clack, clack on the keys a little bit. And then he's like, no, this is your seat. And so I go away going, oh my God, how am I going to handle 14 hours in the middle seat? I've forgotten now all about business class. It was horrible. And I'm now the last check-in group to get on the plane. So I don't even know if there's going to be room for my carry-on luggage. And I get up to the scanner thing, and it's the guy that told me, no, this is your seat. And he scans it, and instead of going bing, it goes eep. And he looks at it, and he walks over to his computer and clack, 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 clack. And his face just purses up like he ate a fucking lemon. And he hits something. I hear that, and he reaches down and hands me a different boarding card, and it's fucking business class. And the best thing about it was, and I found out later, back in the day, when Highness's HR bought the tickets, they were the highest priority economy, which meant that they were the first to get bumped up if there were spare seats. So in the, I want to say 6 trips that I made to Seattle, every fucking one of them was business class.
Oh, that's awesome.
Amazing. Amazing.
that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, that was out of all my amazing memories in Dubai, that's still definitely on the top 5 list.
Awesome.
So if you had to
100%
choose,
awesome.
what's in the top 5 list? What's something in the top 5 list are you from that experience, from that time?
From that time, I mean, it would be the traveling and competing.
Is there
like having that,
but is
having that as a job to where I would just go and train or go and video the guys while they were training, and then get a few training jumps in and get to travel around to different drop zones. I mean, it was incredible.
Sure.
That was by far the most fun that I've had.
Was there a specific instance that stands out? I mean, was it part of the Dubai team when you competed in the freestyle comp in Europe, the one where you landed in
on the raft?
Yeah.
The swoop freestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when that was the first year going there. So when I was traveling with the team, I was their video guy, but for some reason in 2015, being their video guy, I also, for some reason, whatever, from Pat and Billy, they were like, no, like these guys in swoop freestyle specifically, they needed an extra competitor. So I wound up competing in swoop freestyle for the first time instead of just shooting outside video. They're like, no, you're going to compete. Like, okay. I hadn't really been training freestyle. Like I did the training jumps at Drop Zone Denmark. We did like 2 days of training, and then we had the qualifying that was there, and then whoever passed the qualifying went into Denmark, into Copenhagen, and did the event. So like the semifinals and the finals were done in downtown Copenhagen. But I wasn't even training freestyle. I had no idea. Like I could do freestyle, but I wasn't training real hard. And I mean, I got lucky, pulled off some moves, and was able to make it work.
Well, what place did you end up with that competition?
I got third in that one.
So you walk in not knowing you're going to compete with, at the time, the world's best, and basically just pull a third place podium finish out of your ass.
Pretty much.
Also landing in what I would consider to be one of the most challenging places, only because it was so spectacular. Obviously, it wasn't a tight landing area because you were over such a wide, large body of water landing on the rafts, but it had to be so intimidating because weren't there something like 100,000 spectators on the waterfront?
There were a lot of spectators. I don't know. I mean, the one year was definitely a record for them. I don't know how many were there, but I think they said it was over 100,000 over the course of the 3 days or whatever of the competition, like the demo evening and then the semifinals and the finals.
It's insanity, man. I mean, which goes to show, I think, just how successful swooping would have been if the assholes with the Olympic Committee would have, pull their heads out of their ass and put it in.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
Don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think it would have definitely happening.
So now, is that your mom?
Yeah, mom's coming back over from the doctor.
You gotta
I'm doing this podcast. I'm doing this from my car.
Well, dude,
mom's hopping in, and
dude, I love it. It's funny too because for any of the longtime podcast listeners, they've met your mom because she did an episode with us.
Yeah, mom did an episode with us a few years back. Say hi, mom.
Hi. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you left Dubai how many years ago now?
I left Dubai 2 years ago now.
Okay, so 2 years ago now, and then you headed back to the States, and what was the progression from there?
I mean, we were supposed to be transitioning. So Nicole and I left with the idea that we would be going to China to go run a few drop zones over in like Beijing, Datong, and another one down in like the Yunnan province. And we had started that process when we were in Dubai and getting ready to leave. And it was just one issue after another. Obviously, we were at the trailing ends of COVID. China was still having a lot of issues with lockdowns and visas and all the rest of that stuff. And what should have been like what we're told would be like a 2-week process turned into a lot more than that. They had to do an invitation letter. They had to do a visa request, and they got all my stuff. And originally we were going to be able to leave from Dubai and go straight there. And when it came time to make the transition, they were like, no, your visa has been denied because you're not in your home state or your home country. Like, okay, so what do we need to do? They're like, you need to go home to the United States. We'll reapply for the visa, and then you'll be able to get sent over from there. And I'm like, cool. So we left Dubai, got to the States, and it was still issue after issue. And during that time, Nicole's grandmother became really sick. She was terminal with pancreatic cancer. So we were doing a national park tour in the U.S. and we went up and did Yosemite and Bryce, and we were just going from Antelope Canyon. We were just kind of rented a car and did a road trip, figuring that we'd be in the States for 2 or 3 weeks, no big deal. When we got that news, we were driving back to her parents' place in Texas from Yosemite. And along the way, we were going to stop and see a long time and really good friend of mine, Josh Sattler, who was living, and we were going to see Pat and Siobhan.
Nice.
And see them at the ranch. And then we were going to continue down, and we were going to see a really good friend of mine, Josh Sattler, who works for the same company as me now, CPS. So he was one of my students, turned certified badass. He was up in the Seattle tunnel for quite a while. And then he moved to Arizona to work for Complete Parachute Solutions. And like on the way down, I'm like, we were going to stay with him anyway. So told him what was going on. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to apply for positions at CPS. He's like, dude, I work for CPS.
Yeah.
I'm like, awesome. He's like, come in this day. Cause I told him we were literally just stop through for the night. I would go and see the operations manager, Michael Coleman, and then continue on to Texas, because we were literally driving down, grabbing Nicole's mom, and continuing the drive to Georgia. Like, we're talking multiple days of driving.
Sure.
I'm driving here, California to Georgia.
Oh yeah.
And so we stopped, went in and spoke with Michael Coleman. We call him Notes. So stopped in and saw Notes, gave him my resume and talked to him for a few minutes. And by the time we were done with the conversation, he's looking at the calendar on the wall and saying, can you make it out to do this course and maybe this course? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So left Nicole with the family, came out for the next course that they had going on for Department of State or whatever, and everything went well. Halfway through that course, comes out, he's talking to me, he's like, can you do this next course that we have on, starting like pretty much like it was like a week in between or something like that.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. He's like, yeah, but I don't want you as a contractor. He's like, I want you to sign with us, come work for us full time.
Nice.
So I had the conversation with Nicole, and we decided that, everything was taking so long with China that it had to be almost like a sign.
Sure.
Like everything happens for a reason. I really truly believe that. And that was one of those things that was standing out of both of us. So
I mean, and we
said screw it and decided to stay.
It's not only funny how things work out, but it's also amazing to me how things work out in this sport, because it really, I mean, I hate to say it, but just the next thing is always just around the corner. You just have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Like if you're working in the sport and you're motivated in the sport and you haven't burned too many bridges, there are opportunities out there to be had all the time.
right?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's fantastic. I love it. Are you sharing a headset with mom?
Yeah, I'm sharing a headset with mom. Being that we're in the car, I figured she should at least be able to hear the other end of the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, where are you living now full time?
We're living just north of Eloy in the little town of Casa Grande.
In Casa Grande, Arizona. Did you ever think?
Yep. So never in a million years did I think that I'd be living in Casa Grande, Arizona. Not 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 ever. But I mean, it's crazy because Eloy is one of the largest. Out of Arizona is one of the largest drop zones in the United States.
It's one of the largest in the world.
100%. I just never thought that, and I work there on the weekends to keep my tandem ratings current and stuff like that when I'm not doing military tandem courses.
Sure.
Obviously that keeps my rating current as well. But it's just I went from a humid desert that was ridiculously hot and 70%, 80% humidity in Dubai to a really dry desert, which is still 115 degrees
Yeah.
in the summertime. I mean, last year we set records for the most days in a row over 115.
Yeah, I mean, geographically, I'm no offense, but you're kind of an idiot.
I know. I know.
I mean,
mom's laughing too.
Yeah,
she agrees. But I moved her out. Nicole and I moved her out here with us last year, and
yeah.
This is her first summer, so she's
Mom, I'm
staying inside a lot.
I'm sorry for you. I did 10 years in Las Vegas, which is basically the same thing, and it's just brutal. Not fun.
I agree.
It's funny. I just had a great conversation with Rich Grimm, and he was talking about all of the amazing exotic locations that he does all these boogies in, and actually made a sideways remark about, yes, Arizona might be an amazing fucking drop zone, but on a bad weather day, look where you're at.
Right. Right.
And
it's nice, man. I'll tell you what, Phoenix is really cool, and we're positioned in a way that we're pretty much 30 minutes from anywhere.
Sure.
I'm 30 minutes from work, 30 minutes from the drop zone in the tunnel, 30 minutes from Phoenix, 35 minutes from Phoenix Airport. So
nice.
Like our location, we're in a good spot if we had to choose someplace.
It's funny, for as many times as I drove to Eloy and as many times as I've driven through Arizona, I've never been to Phoenix, which is funny because, so you've been to Phoenix? No, I went to this really little place with an airport in the middle of nowhere.
Pretty much.
That was it.
It's insane.
So what, obviously, again, you've got this big boy job and everything, and you've got you said you're doing a big contract now where, oddly enough, you're going to be working with people from the region that you left after 8 years.
Yes.
Which I'll tell you what is both funny, but it also says a lot about the company that you're working for and the work that you're doing. If they're flying people from halfway around the planet to come to Arizona to learn from you.
Yeah. I mean, the company that we have, it's a consortium. So our owners are SunPath, UPT, and PD. They're the three companies that came together to form Complete Parachute Solutions.
Nice.
And they're definitely by far the leading manufacturer in the industry is for gear for civilians as well as for military.
Definitely for military use. You just named the trifecta.
Yeah.
Now,
obviously you have the other amazing canopy manufacturer out there, Gyro, but it's for what they're doing, it has to be US based companies.
Sure. And fair enough. It's U.S. military, U.S. based companies. Now, say for instance, somebody like me who's obviously an experienced instructor but has not done shit for the longest time. One of us is listening to this podcast now thinking, fuck, Junior sounds like he's got a hell of a gig, but I haven't chucked a drogue in however many years, or I haven't done an AFF in however many years, but I've got all this experience. How do they get themselves on the road to being able to come to work with you?
get current first.
So
Go out to their local drop zone, get their ratings current, do some jumps to where they're feeling comfortable, and then they can apply for a job through. I mean, if I know who they are, send me a message and I'll put their resume over to the ops manager. I mean, and then it's his choice of kind of who he chooses. But we're pretty select with.
So
it's kind of a word of mouth.
So if I call you and say, "Hey, can you pencil pack my ratings and get me a job?" You're going to do that, right?
I love you. You know that.
Are you telling me
I will
no?
help you get your ratings current, but I'm not pencil packing shit.
Oh.
I'm gonna abuse you the way I abused you on your recurrency jump in Dubai.
Dude, I'll tell you what. It's so fucking funny because that's one of the things that you came up in conversation not that long ago about. Because I was talking to Yusuf, who you put through his tandem course. And I remember you doing jumps with him. And I remember you riding up front with him. And I remember giving you more shit than I gave him. Cause I'm like, what kind of a fucking masochist has more tandems up front than a C license holder?
D license holder. Thank you very much.
You're
yes.
Psychopath. Man, I've done one ride up front for a tandem candidate and I'll never do it again.
I've got about a little over 600
up front. You're
up front.
Ask your mother to slap you.
She just slapped me.
Good. What are you 600 rides up front, dude? No, that must be a record.
No, I'm sure there's a few people that have more.
No, because I think most tandem evaluators are smart enough to know that they don't have to do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, the biggest thing is if I'm going to certify somebody, if I'm going to give them if I'm going to put my name on their logbook, I want to make sure they're legit and that they're able to do the job.
All these years we've known each other, as great a friendship as I have, and you're going to beat the shit out of me to get my tandem rating back.
I'm not going to beat the shit out of you, but I'm going to make you go through the paces.
You got
to do it legit.
What kind of world are we living in that you're going to actually make me do the work?
Listen, you're going to have to take the test. You're going to have to show me that you know the EPs, and you're going to have to take me on the front for a couple.
Take the test. Oh 100%. My God. That's
not me. That has nothing to do with me.
That corks it. I'm never getting my ratings renewed.
I mean, you haven't done a tandem in how many decades?
Oh, piss off. Actually, that's not too far off. It's been like 14 years since I did a tandem.
Exactly.
What? It's like riding a bike. Come on.
Sure. It's like riding a student.
Yeah.
No big deal.
That's it. Plus, if you're riding up front, that's a piece of cake. Because, I mean, with you, it's like a badminton birdie. We're going one direction.
Oh, yeah. We're going down.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, between the two of us, it's like a brick taped to another brick.
The terminal would be fun.
Oh my God. Dude, I still remember the terminal jump I had to do to get the rating, and my instructor Simon Wade was laughing so hard at me because without knowing it, I finally get the drogue out and open the canopy, and I guess I'm just in the back just and he's laughing, going, "Dude, if I could bottle this shit going through your veins right now, I'd be a billionaire."
Right?
Oh my God. Because I remember doing the paddle turns at Tandem Terminal, and it was like, the fast arm of a stopwatch, just whack. It was amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. Craziness.
Yeah, it was fun.
So
it was fun for sure.
So you're settled in Arizona, you're working your butt off, you're happy, man. What comes next? Do you know?
Retirement.
Yeah. You mean what I'm doing?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you are pretty much retired.
Oh, dude, I haven't lifted my finger to do much of anything in almost 2 years.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. I highly recommend everyone
having a sugar mama.
Yeah, that everyone go out and marry an extremely generous Finnish woman.
Well, it's too late for me to marry a Finnish woman. I'm already married to an American. But Nicole, if you're listening to this, you need to be my sugar mama.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, so for instructors that were listening that think it's a great idea to go get re-upped and everything, or for people that are coming up and they want to talk about the path that they need to go down, or for somebody that just wants to come out and give you shit at Skydive Arizona, how do they find you? Where do they find you on socials, all that stuff?
Believe I'm David _ Ludvik on Instagram. David Ludvik with parentheses junior, spelled out, on Facebook, and kind of let my website Slack, kind of let that go just because there was no reason for me to kind of keep it anymore.
Fair enough.
But they can find me on Instagram easy enough.
Nice.
David _ Ludvik, and send me a message, and I'll try to help them out or point them in the right direction if I can't help them out.
Nice.
But biggest thing, I mean, if you're uncurrent and you're thinking about it, get current. It's easy enough to do. If you are current, stay current. Because the new rules for USPA, if you go out of currency, it's a lot more hoops and a lot more money to jump through than it used to be back in the day where you could just have somebody just sign it off and pencil whip it. Now it's showing that you've done the jumps, taking a test again. And if you go uncurrent with USPA now,
so is 14
the only way
is
go and do an evaluation jump and do a test.
With 14, am I uncurrent at 14 years, or am I just under the wire?
I mean, I think you're like a fine aged wine,
but I'm not current.
But you're far from current.
Oh well, dude. Amazing. As always, amazing catching up with you. I actually am coming stateside in August, so about a year from now, to put my mom on a boat for her belated 80th birthday. So we're going to have to make arrangements because it's going to be
100%.
We're going to do a road trip from Seattle to Vegas. So I figure I can twist your arm to make it to Vegas. Yeah.
It might be tough.
Yeah,
it might be tough.
I think you'll survive.
You may have to twist, just kind of just like, just a little.
I'll work on it.
A little bit of.
I'll work. I've got a little time to plan it out, so I'll definitely work on it. But we got to keep in touch as much as possible between now and then, dude. It is always amazing seeing you. Big hug to your mom sitting next to you as well.
Yep.
All right.
She says right back at you.
All right, brother. Love you.
Love you too. Talk soon.
Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Lunatic Fringe podcast brought to you as always by, well, wait, not as always, actually. Brought to you now by Gyro. Formerly known as NZ Aerosports, you'll head to gyro.com for their next level line of canopies. By Pussfoot, the Extreme Sports Collective. Head over to pussfoot.com to check it out. By Summit Parachute Systems, check out summitparachutesystems.com to talk to Jarrett Martin and the gang about kick-ass pilot rigs, rigging courses, and more. By Flyaway Indoor Skydiving, go to flyawaytn.com and check out all the cutting-edge stuff to come. By Pure Spectrum CBD, head to purespectrumcbd.com to check out their wide range of CBD products. And as for us, head to the lunaticfringepodcast.com to listen to any of the hundreds of episodes currently available, hit the link for our YouTube channel, pick up your copy of the Lunatic Fringe book or The Accidental Stripper, and get a sneak peek at upcoming guests. Once again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.